What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, thanks to the team over at Threezero, we're going to be checking out their Transformers Rise of the Beasts DLX Optimus Prime. Now, as we check this guy out, he looks brilliant, and Threezero never failed to impress when it comes to accuracy and detailing. So as we check out his robot mode, near enough a one-to-one match to the actual CG design as seen in the most recent live-action movie. I mean, check out the face sculpt. I really like how we have the Matrix chamber embedded beneath Prime's chest windows. That is such a great attention to detail, and their paintwork I think is some of their best yet, because big parts of this guy, such as the bicep and the torso, are plastic, yet upon first glance really do come across as being these huge chunks of die cast. So it's kind of crazy how realistic their figures have now become. Check out the weathering that we have here for the smokestacks. I mean, this Optimus Prime has been stranded on Earth for around about 7 years, battling it against Decepticons and Terracons with the resources that he has to hand. So it does make sense that he would be a little more broken down when in comparison to how he appeared in the B movie, but yeah, the mechanical detail is crazy. And another thing which I love about this design is that upon first glance it may come across to be quite simplistic when in comparison to how he originally looked in the 2007 movie, but as you closely look at the details, it's actually quite complex. I mean, look at the inside part of the leg, the intricate tubing, the wires, the shocks, the overlapping mechanized panels that we have here for this piece all look crazy. And I also like that, much like some of those original 2007 designs, you can actually tell that this is a transformer and not just a generic sleek robot like we were seeing with some of those Age of Extinction and Transformers 5 designs. So as we flip this guy around here to the back, my all-time favorite part about this design would have to be the sick spinal column, and hands down it's what made their original DLX B-movie Prime so special, and trust me guys, it's even better this time round with Rise of the Beasts. And like I mentioned previously, it's just such a complex design once you begin to look at all of the intricacies. I mean, check out the back part of the biceps and the forearms, especially these pieces of the legs. I mean, look at all of the intricate details that we have going on here. It does just look crazy. Now, despite pretty much everything externally being plastic, this guy, much like all of their previous DLX Transformers, does contain a built-in internal die-cast endoskeleton, which not only means that all of the joints are reinforced, but they're also seamless, because the second you pick this guy up, you are kind of left questioning as to what you can and can't move, because he really does appear to be a statue. Like I said, this does look like the actual CG model, when in fact he's actually one of the most articulated DLX figures to date. So let's see the true power of this Prime. So first up, both the neck and the head are on ball joints, so it can look up to gaze upon Unicron, it can look down, tilt side to side, and rotate left to right. Both the shoulders and smokestacks are on hinge joints, which allows the main shoulder itself to hinge out roughly to 90. They can then also rotate the complete full 360, again super seamless. Much like all of the previous DLX figures, the shoulders are on barfly joints, so these can crunch both forwards and backwards. The bicep cut is so clean that upon first glance you may not even notice it, but this too can also rotate the full 360. Both of the elbows are double jointed, so you get slightly past 90 out of this, and in addition to that, the forearm can also be rotated to allow for a slightly better range of motion. The wrists are on ball joints, so these can hinge down, up, tilt side to side, and rotate all the way around. And in addition to that, we also get a hinge joint, which allows you to shift the position of the wrists, which you're going to want to do once we whack out a few of the accessories in just a bit. But as I'm sure you guys know by now, the bread and butter of Threezero's engineering is all packed inside the torso. So as we grab this upper part of the chest and shift it here forwards, check out the seamless ab crunch, and that is so sick. As we spin it around here to the back, check out Prime's spinal column. As I mentioned previously, we get these seamless overlapping mechanical panels, which to be fair really do not look as if though they move at all. I mean, the detail and the painting on these looks incredible, and just to show you guys exactly how it looks here from the back, as you begin to crunch this here, look at how seamless they overlap on top of one another. It really does just look incredible, and this in my opinion is better when in comparison to the spinal column that we saw on the Bumblebee movie version. In addition to that, the upper part of the chest can rock side to side, and if you use both this and the waist joint, it also allows him to rotate both left to right to a pretty decent range, which allow for some fantastic poses. Pretty much every single piece of the skirt armor can be hinged and then rotated out of the way, either on pin joints or on ball joints, and this is because the hip in addition to its main joint, it's also on a drop down joint, so you can click it roughly forwards at 3 points, which does allow for a fantastic high kick. Now you could probably make this go slightly further, but I don't want to run the risk of popping off any of the skirt armor. But as I mentioned previously, just check out how seamless that looks and how amazing the detail and the paint is on the inside of Prime's leg. And what I've found to be super cool about this guy is the kick backwards is almost as good as the kick forwards. The knee articulation on Prime is supreme, so as we bend this backwards, check out how all of the panels kind of move simultaneously to create a complete seamless joint. I mean, from the front, that looks excellent. From the side, it looks incredible. And again, it reveals some additional painted in details which you just do not see when Prime is in a standard vanilla pose. So again, exceptional engineering on this guy. And even tiny pieces which you never thought would move, such as the tires, are also on ball joints and swivels. So these can be manipulated depending on your posing. And then finally, as we come down here to the foot, you're going to want to take this front part of the vent, hinge this here forwards, flip around to the back, extend these shocks out, and then take the foot. And because we are dealing with that endoskeleton, you can begin to shift this section down to allow for a slightly better range of motion, which allows the ankles to rock forwards as well as backwards. They can rotate the full 360. We can then take the front part of the toe, bring this here forwards, and he even has a tiny bit of toe pivot. So again, in terms of articulation, in terms of engineering, a complete seamless robot. Really, you can get this guy into pretty much all of the killer poses that we saw in the movie, including the "he is not alone" pose, which I definitely thought was the best move that Optimus Prime pulled off in the Transformers Rise of the Beast film. Now, if the realistic painting and sculpting was not enough, much like all of their previous DLX Transformers, Optimus Prime contains 2 AG13 batteries which are packed inside his brain. Once installed, we then simply push this crest and bang! Optimus Prime is resurrected and brought back to life. And again, I do find these to be an improvement when in comparison to their DLX B-movie Optimus Prime, as this time round you can actually see some of the pupil detail, which I think is super sick. I mean, once these are activated, again, this really does look as if though it's been ripped straight out of the movie. It is just so realistic. But now we need to check out accessories, and this Optimus Prime includes a bunch. So in addition to the mouth plate, we also get Optimus Prime's mouth, which is a direct throwback to how he appeared in some of the original Michael Bay movies. And personally, I thought this was a great design choice for them to go back to, because it allowed Optimus Prime specifically in Rise of the Beast to just be way more emotive. And I think the detail and the painting on this looks fantastic, almost dead on to where Optimus Prime is calling up the Maximals and the Autobots to charge into battle against the Terracons just before the final battle. I think this looks awesome, and I'm a huge fan of the Michael Bay movies, so to see this return in the movie was absolute a geek out moment for myself. Now, this Optimus Prime is a DLX figure, so he includes a shed ton of interchangeable hands. So first up, we get a pair of fisted hands. Next up, we have a pair of relaxed hands. Then a pair of dynamic jazz hands, and I think these may be among some of my favourite because the detail is just wicked. I mean, check out the individual segmented joints of Prime's fingers. This again is near enough dead on to the actual CGI design, so a fantastic attention to detail, and these are also wicked for posing Prime in some of the slightly more dynamic positions. There is also a pair of gripping hands which are used to, of course, hold some of Prime's weaponry, which I'll show you guys in just a bit. And then finally, at least for Optimus Prime, we see the return of the iconic command hand, which at this point is just essential for the leader of the Autobots, so he now has the power to tell the Autobots to transform and roll out. But that's not completely it for the different hands, as Threezero have specifically included a gripping one for their Rise of the Beast Bumblebee. Now, why is this included, you guys may ask? Well, it's so that we can recreate the seconds before Bumblebee's death in the movie, as this hand is able to hold the Energon axe that B tries to use in order to take out Scourge, and the detail on this is actually fantastic, and this is a great inclusion because this is undeniably one of the most iconic scenes from the Rise of the Beast movie, seconds before Bumblebee gets brutally taken out. And now we're on the topic of weaponry. Optimus Prime includes 2 Energon axes, so one of which is in its powered down form, and then we get this second one which is fully energized up, much like we see where Prime takes a swing at Scourge during that museum fight. This looks awesome. I really like the super sick blue highlights that we have going throughout the top part of the axe, and the energized effect is super badass. Next up, in Rise of the Beast, we saw the return of an iconic weapon, that being the Michael Bay styled Energon blades, and this time round, Prime includes two, which are super awesome in terms of their detail and paint. I mean, much like the axe, we get this energized effect, which is dead on to what we saw in the film, and with the blue highlights, it kind of gives a throwback to how they looked in the Transformers Prime series. So yeah, these are an excellent inclusion. But I've got to keep it real with you guys, despite my love for the Michael Bay Energon blades, we also get a pair of two of Prime's arm cannons. Now these look fantastic. Check out the details. I think this is the most accurate version of this arm cannon that we've so far seen released, and it looks so nicely detailed. When this was very first shown off in the trailer, I was a little skeptical because I did love the ion blaster that we saw in the B movie, but the way this transformed out of the forearm was so seamless, and to be fair, it makes perfect sense. They are Transformers, so why would they have extra pieces just hanging off the side of them? They would need weapons which could just transform out of their forearms, and even the central piece does rotate and spin much like we saw in the film, and if you push the center of it, bang! Much like the head sculpt, these also take two HE13 batteries, and we get this brilliant magma orange effect here at the top, going all the way through the middle of the cannon, which is awesome, and if you push it a second time, we also get this slight pulsating effect, which I thought was wicked. So yeah, by far, definitely my favorite accessory that Prime includes. And the integration into Optimus Prime's forearm is seamless. I mean, much like in the film, it really does give you the impression that it has morphed, transformed out of the forearm, as the entire cannon encases the majority of the lower part of the arm. So that is so sick. Finally, we now have an actual Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime that can properly tell the Maximals to stand down. So that is so brilliant. Definitely the accessory that I'll be displaying this guy with on the shelf. And then finally, just to round off accessories completely, much like all of the previous DLX figures, we see the return of the classic Threezero display base. So this is adjustable, and it does have the Transformers Rise of the Beast logo slap bang and center on the base. Now, as we check out a few comparisons, on the left-hand side we have the Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime compared to the right, which is the Bumblebee movie version. Now, I'm going to be real with you guys, after watching the B movie, I never thought any other live-action movie version of Prime could top it, but after checking out Rise of the Beast, honestly, I'm not too sure. This design has really grown on me, to the point where I think it may just be my favourite look for a live-action movie Optimus Prime, which honestly is kind of surprising to say, as I grew up with the original 2007 Michael Bay Optimus, and never thought anything could top it. And don't get me wrong, I still love that design with a passion, but in terms of which one works best for a live action movie Optimus Prime, I think it may just be the Rise of the Beast version. Next up, here we have the Transformers The Last Knight Optimus Prime, which whilst may be my least favourite live action movie design, I think this is still one of my favourite Threezero figures. Honestly, it's kind of a toss up between these two as to which one I think is Threezero's best Prime to date. Honestly, I think they're both as good as each other, but considering how complex that Transformers 5 Optimus Prime was, it's kind of crazy to me how poseable Threezero's figure is. Next up, here we have the Revenge of the Fallen Megatron, and damn, is it time this guy made his return to the big screen. Which, talking of, here we have the Bumblebee movie Soundwave, who I'm hoping looks exactly like this in the next live action movie. Here is the Rise of the Beast DLX Bumblebee, Yolo Park's non-transforming Optimus Prime model kit, Hasbro's Studio Series Leader Class Scourge, and I know Threezero have plans to bring this character into their DLX line, and I'm honestly so pumped for that because I thought Scourge had an incredible design in the movie, and at the time of this recording, we really haven't seen a super accurate version of that character design. And then finally, here is the buzzworthy Bumblebee Voyager Class Optimus Prime. And so, wrapping up on this review for the Threezero Transformers Rise of the Beasts DLX Optimus Prime. To put it bluntly, this figure is amazing. The detail, the accuracy is near enough smack on to the actual CGI design as seen in the most recent movie. The articulation and the engineering is something which never fails to impress with these figures. There are points of articulation that this guy has which you never in a million years thought would be able to move, yet they do so seamlessly, and the poses that you can pull this guy off in literally again look as if though they are directly pulled from the actual movie. He just looks so incredible. The accessories I think are bang on. He pretty much includes everything that I would want from a Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime. It's just a brilliant figure, and if you have been collecting these Threezero figures, then this is definitely one that you're going to want to check out, as I really do think in terms of Optimus Prime, this may just be one of their best. I'd love to get your thoughts on this Prime down in the comment section below. I want to give a massive thank you to Threezero for sending this my way here for a video review, and And until my next video, I thank you guys all so much for watching. Transform and roll out!